All right, folks, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Slider's got his cup of coffee, getting safe from the hurricane. Welcome aboard the Max Afterburner pod. Look, never give up. You're missing a never. It's 4. Don't you know that? 3, and then you end up giving up. All right, folks, welcome aboard the Max Afterburner podcast. No fallen heroes. Man, had a great week. Flew across the United States out to Marine Corps Air Station Miramar with the No Fallen Heroes Foundation L-39 jet. Man, raised awareness for veteran suicide on the way out there. And Slider can appreciate this. On the way out there, man, I'm in El Paso. Wake up, go to Starbucks, shameless plug. And then I see a report from the University of Alabama, Duke University, a couple small colleges, that estimate that 44 veterans per day kill themselves. Double what we've been using, right? So the shirts that we were handing out at Marine Corps Air Station Miramar had 22 a day on it. Needed to take some Sharpies and erase those numbers. It's 44. Shocking that the government was underreporting those numbers. They weren't including drug overdoses, man, which, whether it's a shotgun, a gun, sitting in your car in the garage, horrific ways to kill yourself. Drugs can be one of them. Slider and I can attest to. So absolutely devastating and heartbreaking that the numbers are actually double. But guess what? Healing is possible. You can heal, man. You don't. That is not the way out. There's other ways out, plural. But we're going to talk about one of the ways out today, and you're going to be on the edge of your seat because Slider, our 5 MEO stories, man. Slider and I kind of flew formation on each other with our 5 MEO. So, Slider, welcome back, my brother. You good? You safe from the hurricane?
Yeah, Wes, thanks. It's great to be here. Yeah, those numbers are disturbing, man. I saw that and almost fell out of my chair. It's really sad stuff. It's good that we've gotten our teeth into how to fix this thing.
I knew it though, man. I fucking knew it, man. It was since 2019 when 22 a day came about. We've had the COVID, which turned VA hospitals into Civil War hospitals. And we've had the surrender of a 20-year war back to our enemy with $85 billion in weapons. So I knew those numbers were low. And 44, dude, we're going to run out of veterans. I mean, our mission is critical, man. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah, the whole thing's bad. I think they were neglecting active duty suicides too, which I had to investigate 2 of those while I was on active duty.
Oh man. That's brutal.
Freaking heartbreaking.
All right. Well, then we're going to talk happy though, but you're good from the hurricane, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm sitting inside today because I'll tell you, the sky's looking pretty scary out there and the sea is angry and the wind is howling. So here we are in the kitchen today, but yeah, we're okay, Wiz. Haven't lost power or anything like that. I'm sure we'll be fine. How'd you do?
Yeah, we did all right, man. The West Coast got leveled. I mean, it just looks like an atomic bomb went off on the West Coast. It's heartbreaking. We're going to try and do something with No Fallen Heroes. Doug was getting some supplies together, but that's awful to the West Coast of Florida. But stay safe, man. All right, here we go. This is going to be an easy podcast, and this is Slider's. He's an ace. Slider's now a Max Afterburner podcast ace, man. And I got to tell you, You're creeping up on Susie as the top-ranked podcast on Max Afterburner, and she's not happy about it. So it's Slider Part 4, and we're going to talk, folks, about toad. We're going to talk about an actual toad, a toad that made me flip in the bed, and Slider's going to tell you Slider. But, folks, this is I'm not going to say crazy. Well, I've done some pretty crazy shit, but hey, man, you want to go to Mexico and do some drugs with some seals over a weekend? Fuck yeah. And then it completely changed my life. So I think the best way to handle this, Slider, is for me to just shut up and go Slider 5 MEO Part 1. You got 30 minutes, and Slider 5 MEO Part 2. You got 30 minutes. Go.
All right. So you want to talk about the first toad?
Yes. First toad, man. We have to.
All right. Okay. So that was about probably a year and a half ago. At this point. Yeah. So I was down at Nouvelle Vie. We talked about the my first ibogaine experience with exploring the universe and all that stuff.
Screaming eagle.
Absolutely
Yes.
spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
The screaming, the whole thing. Yeah, that was awesome. So the toad comes up next, and there was some interesting group dynamics there because, I was with two other guys, and none of us had ever done any of this stuff before. Our great day was fantastic. I mean, we just sat out there and shared our revelations and laughed. I mean, it was one of the best days of my life. Just absolutely fantastic. Yeah. And the bonding that happened there with those guys. I mean, they're my brothers for life. It was amazing. Yeah. So we all discussed the toad, and we looked at the toad as kind of a cherry on top of the ibogaine.
The icing
sundae,
to the ibogaine. Yes.
Yeah, we were looking at it that way, and that was, total ignorance. I knew I knew the ibogaine was a big daddy, and I had heard of the toad a couple times, and so maybe I wasn't as fearful or as inquisitive as I should have been. I read a lot about the ibogaine, and I thought that was it. And then real quick, we're just gonna go, "Hey, toad," and then we're out of there the next day and come home, right?
Yay, toad.
That's not really how it went. So, so these other two guys, we're all going. We know that they're going to take us upstairs, and we're going to each do it one at a time, and nobody else is allowed in the room. There's a provider, an EMT, and Trevor, the coach, was in there with me.
Very clinical. It's not. Yeah, it's clinical. It's half clinical and half spiritual, however you want to say it. But yeah, you're taken care of. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a little bit of a ceremony associated with it, not like the ibogaine. And we know it only lasts 20 minutes or something, like 20 minutes.
It lasts forever, Slider, not 20 minutes. Mine was infinity.
Yeah, I'm being very linear here because the podcast, we haven't talked about quantum physics and all that yet. But
yes.
Yes. Yeah. No, so we're all going, well, we know we go. It's serial one at a time, not like the ibogaine. We were all together. So, there was some discussion about, well, who's going to go first? And, we're all bold guys. And, what each of us had going on in the back of our head was, I'm not sure I want to go first.
Exactly.
I'm who I am. And I was like, I'll go first. And they were like, okay, you can go first.
Yeah, right behind you.
And yeah, exactly. Exactly. One of the guys was much more open about his apprehension.
Okay.
And he wanted to go last. And the other guy didn't really care. But for whatever reason, Trevor walked in the room and picked the other not very apprehensive guy.
There you go. Okay.
Which turned out to be a brilliant move by Trevor. He was moved by the hand of God, or maybe, I don't know what you'll find out why it was a good move here in a second. But so, guy number one goes up the stairs. I can hear a little bit of that, it's not bleeding music like the ibogaine is, it's this ethereal kind of new agey stuff. It's very relaxing and peaceful and appropriate for this medicine. But the other guy and I just sit down on the couch. I think we're flipping channels or, whatever. We're just talking, waiting for the dude to come down. And Trevor comes down first, and he's looking at us, and Trevor's just absolutely glowing. And he looks at us and says, that man just experienced pure love for the first time in his life, and it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Whoa. Holy shit.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Now, I still don't know. I love Trevor. I trust him completely. But at this moment, I'm going, well, maybe he's just trying to get us psyched. I don't know.
Yeah.
So Trevor takes guy number two upstairs. And he disappears, and then guy number one comes down into the living room with me where I am, and he comes in, and I swear to God, Wiz, he had you talked about how I was glowing after my ibogaine revelations part 2. This guy was the same way. He walked in, and he looked like he was floating an inch above the floor and just glowing, and the smile on his face was, he just looked at me, and he was real quiet about it. He's like, Slider, you have nothing to fear.
Wow.
And of course, I'm going, of course I have nothing to fear.
Yeah. I'm Slider, man.
He goes, he's just saying, yeah, man. He's like, just trust me on this. Just go up there, embrace it. He's like, you have absolutely nothing to fear. And I'm like,
Wow.
okay, man, I appreciate that.
All right. Now I'm starting to fear.
No, I wasn't that smart yet.
Yes.
So he's like, yeah, I think I'm going to go write in my journal and meditate and whatever. I mean, he was just, walking on pillows on clouds.
He was a different man, it looked like, or it sounded like, right?
Yeah. He was definitely different. In half an hour, he came down and he was good.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. And, most of the Toad stories are like that. The vast majority of them are like that.
Correct.
So, guy number 2, 20, 30 minutes go by. He comes downstairs and he's beaming like a Cheshire cat too. And he says, dude, that was unbelievable. He's like, I've never even thought of something like that. He said, you're going to love this. It was amazing.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Super psyched, right?
The anticipation.
So
yeah.
I'm like, this is G money. I can't wait. So I go up there. Now let's back up here. Something to note is, the second time we went through all this down with the Mission Within crew, they did a little differently. Now, remember that Nouvelle Vie gave us the ibogaine in 4 doses.
Yep.
We went to the Mission Within and they hit us with the freight train right up front. And it was a little different. It's the opposite here. So at this time, Nouvelle Vie was going to the big dose of Toad right away. There was no handshake dose, intermediate dose, all that stuff like we're going to get to at the Mission Within. They just throw the big daddy in there.
Mm-hmm.
It was just
Max Afterburner.
Right, and they're not doing that. Yeah, they're not doing that anymore. It might be because of me. So
lesson learned. Slider.
Yeah, so here's what happens. It's January down in Tijuana. The weather's just absolutely gorgeous. I think the windows and doors in the whole house were open the entire time. And they certainly were this evening. And all, the ceremony room has a ton of windows and they're all open. So
beautiful.
There's, we're in a neighborhood. There's houses all around us and all that stuff. So, I get the instruction, and I'll skip all the mechanics of that, but you clear your lungs out and, you very, very slowly inhale this stuff as it vaporizes, and you can see it. It's in a vial, and, they're careful to tell you, just do it really, really slow. Make sure you get all of it. And I'm okay. Yeah,
I can do that.
I'm down.
I'm Slider, man.
I'm good at this. I might have even practiced before. So not with the Toad though. So I get this stuff in me and I'm sitting up on the bed and the music's going and it's all nice and I'm super psyched. And I take this stuff in and I'm hold it for 10 seconds. And then they say, okay, exhale and let go. Right. It's the right thing to say.
That's a great departure brief. Mm-hmm. That's the
let go.
Let go. Yeah.
And, this is a big thing with all these medicines. A lot of it's about letting go. And that's
Correct.
An analogy for what you're doing psychologically, emotionally, spiritually as well. On a larger scale, you gotta let go. And, letting go is not easy.
A wise man once said that attachment is the root of all suffering. And these medicines teach you that to detach, to let go. And as soon as you do, everything is great. Or we'll find out.
Yeah.
So lay it on us.
It's a skill. No, it's a skill. And we'll get to the integration eventually. But yeah, so there I am. He says, let go. And I'm going, okay, I'm going to let go. Now, let me go back to the brief a little bit, right? So this 5-MeO molecule, this is something that's produced in your pineal gland naturally.
You have DMT in your body.
Your whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have 5-MeO all the time. But what's interesting is at the moment of birth and right when you die, those levels go way up. Mm-hmm. Right. So there's something about this 5-MeO that has to do with the transition in and out of this physical world that we live in. And, we've associated this, these near-death experiences where you leave your body, you feel all this peace and light, and you become one with everything, all that joy. I mean, that's, people around the world, different cultures, different languages, different belief systems, they all experience this thing. And so we believe that the 5-MeO has something to do with part of that experience. It's part of the gateway in and out of this place, I think, or something like that. So I'm really excited about dying.
Wow.
Right? So a lot of people, I know, what a crazy thing, right? I spent my whole life tempting death, failed repeatedly, and now I'm going all the way, right?
Yes.
So I'm really excited. I want to experience death because I'm, especially these two guys who I love just came down and they're like, yeah, man, it's good,
It's
and
good.
they did experience that. So I go in there expecting to die. Now, I don't know how to die.
Yep.
I don't know what it's going to feel like. I have some ideas and I've heard other stuff, but I don't know. So I go in there, I take this stuff, I inhale the thing, it's let go, I lay back, the eye shades come down. And, for a couple of moments, I experienced this sensation like the bed and the room and the entire planet underneath me were evaporating.
Yeah.
It just went away. And I don't remember feeling scared.
Yeah.
But here's what I did. I started screaming. And not like, not Ned Flanders. The guys downstairs said, and I think they meant this sincerely, they said it sounded like they were hacking you to pieces with a machete. So, and I'm a big, loud guy. I'm a coach. I can yell at 100 yards away, and they can hear me over trampling feet, right?
Yeah.
So I'm taking big lungs of air, and about 15 times it was...
Wow.
I mean, just, I don't know why. I mean,
you had to get it out,
feeling
man.
Scared.
Yeah.
Something was coming out. I don't know. This was not the peaceful transition to eternal bliss that I was looking for, though. I mean, I screamed.
This was a catapult shot. Yeah.
Bad. And I wasn't in control of it. It was completely involuntary. I don't know that I was scared of anything, but I just screamed. And they said it was about 15 times. So I just let it out.
At the top of your lungs. Oh my
dogs.
God.
So I know we're in Tijuana, right? Everybody's got dogs for security and because everybody's got a walled property and all that stuff, and barbed wire and broken glass on top of all that stuff. It's a nice place, but they do what they got to do, right? So there's dogs everywhere. There must have been 100 dogs barking,
howling with you.
They were just wow. Yeah, so I'm screaming my face off, right? And during some point, I sat up right at the end of it and opened my eyes, and Trevor was closing the windows. Too late.
Oh my God!
Little side note, if that had happened in any neighborhood in the United States, the police would have been
911. Yeah. Mexico, they're used to it.
I don't know. I hope that's not something they're used to, but nobody bothered. Nothing happened. So,
so what are you feeling? Do you remember the 15 yells? What were you experiencing during your top of the lung yelling?
I felt like a lot of dark stuff was coming out of me.
Each yell was like getting rid of energy or something.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't visual. I just felt like I was overinflated and a lot of black was coming out. It was.
Yep.
I don't know how to describe it. It wasn't visual. I use the color black as a metaphor, but I don't know, man. I was so bad when I first went down there with my anxiety and all that stuff. I mean, and my anger and all that. I mean, it was just years and years and years of bottled up stuff, and it all came out in 15 maniac screams, right? So I sit up, right, and through this whole process, I've been down there for a few days now. I'm going, this is like what an amazing life experience this is, right? And I had been thinking about writing a book about all the stuff I went through with my errant bomb and the benzodiazepines and just stuff like that. And it was going to be a story about suffering. And so at this point, I'm getting to, no, this is going to be a story about healing. Right. And I'm all excited about that. And the toad's going to be no big deal. And I scream bloody fucking murder the whole time. Right. And I sit up and I look at these guys and I remember thinking, I can't write a book about this. And I look at the guys around me. Now I'm still very much under the influence of,
you're still in the medicine,
the most powerful psychedelic in the world. Yeah. I think it's over. So I sit up and I look at these guys and I'm going, by the way, really loudly. I had no idea how loud my voice is, which is a constant problem with me. Apparently it was worse this night, but the guys downstairs said, yeah, we heard every word you said. I look at Trevor, I look at the guys around me. I'm like, oh my God, I think I fucked up somehow. Somehow I have failed the toad and I'm not worthy of that experience or something. I don't know what's going on. And there's some underlying psychology with that we'll get through eventually. But I'm sitting here thinking somehow I'm screwed up and I blew this and it's my fault. And I'm telling these guys, I'm so sorry. I won't ever tell anyone about this. I'm not going to let them know that the toad is bullshit. I'm not going to spill your little secret. I'm saying all this.
God, dude.
I realize now it's ridiculous, but at the time I'm going,
you're in it. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. And I'll tell you what, Trevor and, everyone we've encountered around these medicines, all the providers and stuff are just the
so
best
loving.
People you ever want to
they are in the perfect positions. Yep.
Well, they know, they've been through this, their integration, and they're way down the road on their integration. They understand
correct
what we really are, and they see us as souls.
Correct. Yep.
And they're very loving and gentle about it. And, Trevor everyone was calm and super nice. And they're like, no, man, you're doing great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I'm going, oh, this is some sales bullshit, right? I'm going, I'm so skeptical of everything, Wiz. I really need to learn how, I don't know.
Old Slider is not new Slider. After this?
No, not now.
There we go. Okay. So you got fixed. All right. So you're 15 yells.
All this stuff.
15 yells. You think you failed. And then what happens?
Yeah, so these guys are soothing me. They're going, no, man, you're doing great. You're doing great. Just lay back down. You're going to be fine. And I've calmed down now, and I actually feel better. I feel guilt more than anything else. And they're like, no, lay back down. And I'm like, okay. So I lay down and put my shades on, and now I resign myself to dying. Now I'm going to figure out how to leave my body and go to the light and feel the peace and all that stuff. Whoa. So I lay down, and I'm trying to die. And at one point, Trevor holds my hand very gently, which was soothing.
Yeah.
Not used to holding dudes' hands.
Yeah.
This was nice. I mean, it was appropriate and it was good. And he was soothing. He's like, man, you're doing okay. Just let go and relax. So I'm sitting there trying to let go. I don't know how to do it. So my breathing gets real shallow. He said I actually turned a little bit gray. They're like, are you okay?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm trying to die and I can't freaking do it.
Yeah.
And so this is weird with me. A second wave hits. A big second wave hits me. It came out of nowhere.
But you only did that that initial drag, so to speak. You didn't do any more. This is
just one.
Well, just one. All right.
5 minutes later, maybe.
Wow. Okay.
5 minutes later, I'm laying there trying to die. I don't think the medicine's doing anything. I don't believe that. I think it's just over. And so I lay down and I'm listening to these guys and I'm trying to let go. And all of a sudden, it starts hitting me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait a minute. Now I get it. You guys set me up. All you guys in the room set me up. The whole world set me up. Everybody knows I'm the last one to find out.
Holy shit.
And it hits me. Finally, I'm getting there where everybody else has already been, and they've just been waiting for me.
Whoa, yeah.
I'm the guy who's supposed to spread the love around, right? I feel this surge of energy, like the entire universe is just collapsing into my body, and like my chest cracks open, not in a painful way, in a good way, and I'm full of bright white light, and it just comes spraying out of me, and it is the light of love.
Wow.
And it is immediately apparent to me that my purpose in life is to show everyone this love.
Oh my God, man.
And so I'm turning around. You know, there's 4 other guys in there. I'm turning left and right. I'm spraying love all over everybody. And then I just start running around and hugging these guys. And it was funny. You know, the next I took some people down there, like a year later, to hold space for them. And the EMT who was there, when I walked in, he's like, "Hey, Slider." He's like, "You give the best hugs, man."
You're spraying love all over the place, man. I love your hugs.
But I'm just screaming at the top of my lungs. I'm like, "I love you guys so much. It is the purpose of my life to let everyone know that the love is here." And, you know, I'm screaming and spit flying, and I'm hugging these guys, and we're crying, and I'm running around. And it was, man, I found my purpose, and it was perfectly clear, and it was pure, and it was obvious that I'm supposed to spread the love.
So maybe a year ago, Slider was on one of our first podcasts where one of our guests actually played. They recorded outside the door, right? You're screaming and yelling. So I heard this. I got to hear it, man. And he is not underselling the screaming and the love and the I am love and everything like that, man. So so you're seeing this love and light and everything coming out of you. What's that feeling? What was the feeling of peace? How would you describe the feeling?
It was the most powerful thing I've ever felt. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't this blissful floating on clouds like everybody else gets, or most people get. Mm-hmm. It was intense. It was powerful. It was good. I mean, it was just pure love. It felt like all the energy of everything was just being funneled through me, and it was it was profound. I mean, it was really. I'm like, I didn't know this existed.
Dude,
it was amazing.
It's in these moments that you really feel that you were cosmic dust that just was brought together, and then in a moment on this medicine, you get to go back to being cosmic dust, which is, that might sound terrifying, but it's the most, it's freedom, right? That's what, when I sat up in the bed after my famous flip, I did the Braveheart moment. They're like, "Dude, do you remember your first words?" I'm like, "Nope." They're like, "You said this is freedom. I'm free." I'm like, "Holy shit, man." Wow. So on that when that second wave hit you, you could stand up and hug. I mean, you were mobile. I was, again, flipping the bed type of thing, but you were up and mobile.
Remember, I sat up for a good portion of my first.
Ibogaine, you're right. Too. You're the scientist.
Slider's a little different. I'm a little different, I guess. I don't know, but I was up running around and hugging guys, and I was fully mobile. I knew where I was, but it was weird because I'm in a lit room. Mm-hmm. I could see everything, but I was simultaneously in this I was basically a portal.
Yeah.
Eternity, this other thing was coming through me. And, I'm running around screaming, "It's the purpose of my life to let the world know that, that about God's love." I don't think I said God's love at the time, but that's what I meant.
Yes.
And, in my year and a half of integration and another journey and all that stuff, I've realized I was exactly right.
Yeah.
My purpose, just like your purpose was, and everybody's purpose, even if they haven't figured it out.
Correct.
You're supposed to love. Yeah. You're supposed to walk around in this life, and you're supposed to give love to everyone. And some people can't receive it. Some people are
shut off.
On a different part of their journey and that's fine. You can detach from that, and when they're ready, then the love's there for them.
Correct.
But I think the purpose of your life is just go around and love.
Yeah. Love is all there is, man. Famous band said that, right? Love is all there is. So
I may have heard of that.
yeah, after the group hugs, you kind of coast in for landing, or how's it? How long did you ride that?
Yeah, so the other guys were staying out. As soon as this, screaming started, they ran upstairs with their cell phone, and one of them recorded the door.
Yep.
They weren't going to go barging in, but they recorded the door and all my screaming and running around. And once we were done, they all went away, and I sat there with Trevor, and I actually laid down again.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't died yet, and I really wanted that.
Oh my God.
And man. I laid down again, and I laid there for a long time. And Trevor was awesome, man. He sat there with me, and he eventually went downstairs, and the toad guy sat there with me, and we talked a little bit. I said, "Have you seen this before?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Yep.
He's like, "A couple of times I've seen this." And I went around inquiring afterwards with some people with a lot of experience with this stuff. And what I found is that the veteran population, and I mean guys who've been in combat, trigger pullers, are much more likely to release all this dark energy in a violent way.
Okay. Yeah. Not violent, bad, folks, but in a expressive way. How about that? Because you're right. Because when I flipped in the bed, I'd use the word violent, but it wasn't violent. It didn't feel that way, right? It might have appeared that way to an outsider, but the feeling was. That's why I was asking what you were feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just this explosive, the power of it, and it all hits it once. So apparently that's a thing. We carry around this darkness. But I went downstairs and I was laughing and laughing. I was pretty wound up for a little while, and it was really the next day that it hit me that I got exactly what I needed.
Yep.
Again.
Yep. That's a saying because it's a fact, folks. The medicine doesn't give you what you need. It gives you what you want. It gives you what you need. So that's fantastic, man. And well, you had no idea what you wanted or needed, and you got it. Merry Christmas.
No, it's weird. On a conscious level, you don't. And, at some point, maybe we should talk about the neuroscience behind all this stuff, the psychology, all that. Part of my personal theory is that you kind of know somewhere in your mind, your consciousness, you know what you need, and you lose that. You cake all this stuff on it because of all these experiences through your life.
Ego.
You build up this shell to protect your ego.
Yep.
Exactly. And somewhere in there, you get a little bit lost, and you know what you need. You really do. It's all the answers are in there. Everything you need to be happy.
Correct.
Is in you already.
Yeah. Well, and that's an interesting thing.
Activates your brain.
Yeah, because a lot of folks talk about, I'd love to be enlightened. I'm like, you are. You already are. Everybody's enlightened, man. You don't have to climb to the top of a mountain or anything like that. You were born. God doesn't make imperfect things. You were born absolutely perfect and enlightened. And then Slider and I had fighter aviation and horrible deaths, and you throw all that shit on top of it, alcohol and drugs, man. That enlightenment, that goes out. And on the 5-MeO or some of these medicines, man, that source, truth, divine, whatever, insert word here, God, kind of smacks you in the back of the head and goes, wake the fuck up, man. You're enlightened. You're absolutely perfect the way you are. And these are a gateway to get back and touch home base, so to speak. So, okay. So Trevor put that one in the books. Let's fast forward, man, to the mission within. And let's go 5-MeO part 2. Talk us through that one. What's the difference between Trevor and Martine, and then your experiences?
Yeah. So, the ceremony was similar. I can tell you that the house that the mission within is just
unbelievable.
I mean,
right out of Central
Bruce
Casting.
Wayne couldn't have made Bruce Wayne couldn't have built a better venue. It's just so beautiful, and the location and all that stuff. By the way, Nouvelle Vie has a new house for veterans near there, and they have a similar setup. I mean, they're both gorgeous, but that didn't exist at that time, or they were working on moving over there. The mission within, the setting is fantastic. They had that circular room with it's got all the sliding glass doors, and it all
looking at the Pacific,
up to a terrace.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with flowers overlooking the Pacific. I mean, it just couldn't be more perfect. And so we get in there, and it's the same kind of thing. There's a bed and a pillow, and they got the nice music, and all the folks are around. And this time we've got the movie crew there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good point. They're filming.
Yeah. There's cameras. There's a couple cameras on us, and all that stuff. And I wasn't real aware of that, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a healthy respect for the toad. After that first experience, I was a little scared that I was going to start screaming again.
Uh-huh.
I was a little nervous. But the way they administer it there is they give you a really, really tiny handshake dose. You sit up for that. You don't pull the blinds, the eye shades down. And they say, it's getting to know the medicine, right? So, take that little tiny, tiny bit of the vapor, and it feels good. Mm-hmm. It's got a very distinctive flavor,
taste,
smell.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that brought me right back. And I don't know if that made me more scared or not, but I was definitely a little apprehensive. But I really wanted to just die. I wanted to have that thing that those other guys talked about. So I'm going for it, right? So I take that handshake dose, and I'm going, okay, I'm ready. And then I kind of, they're ready to give me the second dose, the intermediate dose. And I'm going, and I just spent a minute meditating. And like, okay, just be ready to let go. You got to trust it. It's okay. Nothing bad's going to happen. By the way, nobody's ever had an aneurysm or a heart attack or died or anything like that. I mean, it's like literally the safest thing in the world.
Correct.
It may not feel like it when you think you're dying, but you're not dying.
Nope.
It really is okay. Like there's nothing to fear here, but I had fear anyway. So I take that second dose, and that intermediate dose that's nothing to laugh at. I mean,
no, correct. You're climbing up to altitude, man. You go handshake is a little bit of takeoff, and then you start plugging in the Afterburner, man. And you start accelerating.
Oh yeah, I was supersonic for sure. There's no doubt. So, I take the second one, and I do it with a lot of commitment, and I put the mask down, and I lay back, and how do I describe this? I did not explode into infinity. I did not merge with all that preceded the universe and all that stuff. I didn't get there. Okay. It was interesting though, because, the way I thought of it at the time, and still seems the best analogy is, imagine that there's, a specific altitude that's the line between the atmosphere and space, right? Which there isn't, but
the troposphere.
Just imagine that there is. Yeah, exactly. So I'm trying, I want to go past that. I want to go outside. And what happened is I kind of approached it. I got to that altitude. I stuck my finger up, and this is what I said right afterwards. This is I dipped my finger into eternity and infinity and all that, and it was there. It was available to me. And I stuck my finger up into it, and I felt it, and it was there. I know it's there. I have no doubt in my mind it's there.
Wow.
And then just involuntarily, I kind of lost a little bit of altitude, kind of started coming back, and I didn't really want that. And I went up and I dipped my finger in again, and then I came down and dipped. And several times I went up and down and up and down. And, it sounds like my second ibogaine journey, right? I get the same thing over and over again. It's like, dude, it's
wake
here.
up.
It's here.
Yeah.
It's here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the day before God was telling me, do you get it yet? Do you get it yet?
Yeah.
Do you get it yet? Same thing. same thing. So
remedial slider.
Yeah. There's a thick area right here in the
sloping forehead.
No. So anyway, so that's what's going on in my mind. Apparently at some point I was hugging the Myra, the
medicine woman,
the toad goddess. She's, what a sweet and
she's an angel.
Apparently,
she's
at some point,
heaven on earth.
Yeah, she's an angel, no doubt. But at some point in there, and it's weird because it wasn't physical. It was like a mother's warmth or something, which is weird because I'm definitely older than her. But
yes.
so there was some comfort there. And I think Cynthia held my hand for a minute and stuff. Here's the other part of it. Aside from skipping off of eternity and all that, the most powerful thing I felt was gratitude. I felt gratitude through the whole thing. I remember thinking or feeling really, God has given us so much.
Yeah.
It is so cool that we're alive. It's so awesome. And thank you. And for the journey I had, the 2 days before with the ibogaine and all this, like, it's just all rushing into me. And I'm going, I'm so grateful for all this. And I think I was even mouthing like, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wow.
Gratitude was absolutely the main thing. And so at some point in there, I don't remember who was asking me. Was it Martine maybe? I think it was Martine. He's saying, hey, you ready for the third dose? And I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. I got what I needed.
I didn't need it. I still want to explode into infinity and all that stuff and have these experiences that other guys have had. And, at some point down the road, when it calls to me, I'll give it another try and I'll go big. I know nothing bad's going to happen.
Exactly.
But I think I got what I needed,
Yeah.
So here's how it ends up. I'm real mobile on this stuff. Apparently, the first time I was running around hugging people and all that. Yeah. So I don't even remember getting up off the bed, but I got up off the bed apparently and walked outside into the grass. And apparently I spread my arms, and the warmth of the sun, as I walked outside, the warmth of the sun, I still had the blinds on. How the heck I did this? But the warmth of the sun hit me, and I was like, oh, this is so beautiful. I think I took my shirt off, and I was like, oh, this is so beautiful. And I'm just going, everything's so beautiful. I end up dropping to my knees, and as I kind of came back to reality, this is the first thing I remember really, really clearly. Obviously, I have some recall of all of it, but it's all kind of fuzzy. The thing I remember very, very clearly is as I kind of was coming out of the medicine, there's this garden there, and there's all these plants and some grasses and all this stuff in front of me. And I'm stroking the plants and running my fingers through them and holding on to them because they're so beautiful and I love them.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely ridiculous. And I'm like, I'm hugging a plant. Old me would have shot a dude if he saw him spiking a tree. Might still do that, but
yes,
I'm just like, this isn't me. This isn't how I normally am. I just felt very connected to the earth and these organic things. And at that point, I stood up and I'm looking out over the Pacific Ocean, and there's an island out there and all this stuff. And I'm looking at all this, and it hit me that this world is so beautiful. How have I been walking around for so long without understanding that I'm constantly surrounded by beauty?
Yep.
And I'm just, again, I think I had my arms out.
I heard you
looking around.
I was upstairs. I peeked over, and you're out in the garden, man. Yeah. Arms like starfish, like Patrick.
Oh, you saw that?
Oh, I saw that. Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. You're giving Punky a hug.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. I saw the whole thing, man. Yeah, that's what kind of sucks going like towards the end. I was like -5 and Nicole was -6. So you hear Slider downstairs yelling and you hear all sorts of shit going on. You're like, oh my God, what is happening down there? And I looked over the railing and Slider's out in the garden, man, just with a shit-eating grin on his face and walking around nature, man.
I didn't know I was yelling.
Yeah. Oh no, you had
what was I yelling?
You weren't screaming like Nicole was. We'll get to that eventually. I got to have her on for her fun. I mean, that was when Harry met Sally. I'll have what she's having.
I'll have what she's having. Yeah.
All right. So Slider and I, similar ibogaine and similar 5-MeO experiences. I mean, I did the same thing, Slider. You guys hopefully listened to my last podcast or whenever it was when I did my 5-MeO, but I was like Slider this time around. It was the in and out. It was transonic, right? I knew it was there. I could see it and feel it. It was kind of like you got this the first time, dude. Here's a little reminder that it's right there, but I couldn't get there, right? And it was kind of like I was putting my nose. I kept trying to go faster to hit it. And I think God, source, truth, divine was kind of like, this is here, right? I mean, the last time, dude, I made you flip in your fucking bed. What do you knew? So it was interesting. And then, because I felt like a failure after that one. And then Cynthia, did a great job of like, hey, man, anybody who's done the medicine again, who does it to try and help people, you get to see all of the medicine. And, she kept reminding me, you got exactly what you need. I'm like, you know what? I did. Because I like you, man, I had a little trepidation, man. I mean, when, after you do something and the people, after you open your eyes and 3 people around you looking like they saw the devil and they have water in their eyes and you're facing the wrong direction, it kind of freaks you out a little bit. Like, dude, you flipped in the bed and you were screaming at the top of your lungs. I'm like, what the actual fuck? I couldn't do that if you paid me. So this time, kind of like Slider, I was a little, apprehensive, even though I knew everything was fine, right? I knew that. And this was, you and I definitely got our instructor call, man, because, we can put that patch on our shoulder because I got both. But like you, it sounds like you're as thankful for this time as you were the first one with the spewing love all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a completely different experience, but, there's part of me that wanted to go all the way and take that third big wallop. And I was like, I'm good. I'm good, man.
Yeah.
And remember the night before I'd been standing in the kitchen with angels coming down and swirling around me and looking God in the eye. I'm like, no, I think I got it at this point. I didn't need any more.
Exactly. That's awesome that he's saying this because I did the same thing. Yeah, and Myra, Doc, Cynthia, everybody there was awesome, right? Because they could tell. I don't use the word struggling, but I will use the word struggle. They could tell I was struggling, and then they very gently they're like, "Well, you're almost there. Do you want the third?" And I'm like, "I'm good." I just felt a completeness about me. I could tell that the third, maybe I would have gone actually supersonic like the first time, but I didn't need it. I was like, you know what? I'm good. And they were perfect. They're like, that's perfect. Then you got exactly what you needed. You didn't, I wanted to go supersonic, but I got what I needed, which was the ability to see and to know again that exists. The first time, I'm fucking, I'm Chewbacca in the Millennium Falcon, man, when they go to hyperspace. There was no choice. It was sitting on the catapult to infinity, and there wasn't any ability to put the brakes on. This time, I flew. I navigated a little bit more, like you did, man, but kind of skipping off the edge of it. But it wasn't bad in any way. It was what it was, and it was pretty. It was still pretty damn cool. But yeah, we gotta get Nicole in here because she went last, and it was, I think, it was Sledge. Sledge was like giving an interview at the same time Nicole did her 5, and hopefully this makes it a documentary, man, because we all kind of stopped and it was a when Harry met Sally moment. So I won't steal Nicole's thunder, but I'm gonna have her back on to talk about her 5.
When the director says, go ahead and laugh, I don't care if you ruin my scene, it was awesome.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. Everybody just stopped because that was cool. And she came upstairs floating on her cloud too. So that's awesome, man. All right. So how much time do we have left? We're going to have to, let's do another with your integration, right? We got like 8 minutes left, but I want to do a Slider integration because it sounds like Slider and I, again, are flying formation with, the manual was pretty good. First 30 days, pink cloud phase, everything's great. You're hugging trees. The second 30 days, why isn't everybody happy and hugging trees? And, kind of a little bit of a low. And then you got to find your happy place. And if you do kind of fall back into some old habits, you can stumble. So Cynthia nailed it. And Doc, my first time when they said, I'm like, I'm perfect. Get me home. And they're like, yeah, throttle back, man. 5%. 5% is here. 95%'s the integration. So how long of a tail did your 5-MeO have? Like that day? Did you have any kind of like the first time you did it, you had some residual?
Probably for about half an hour, maybe even an hour afterwards, I was just kind of going, the beauty. But there's a part that stuck with me. And this is interesting. This was a bullet from that one, even though I didn't go all the way to everything. That thought I had, that feeling of how beautiful everything is, that has stuck with me. I'm here.
Wow.
What are we at now? Almost a year later.
Yeah.
I still, driving down the road, some asshole cuts me off because it's personal and he has to beat me. That's old Slider.
That's old Slider, man. Yeah. Old Wiz.
Slider, he goes by and I go, what an idiot. I'll just back off here and stuff. And, I'm better. But when I feel myself getting riled up at all in any situation, I look at the sky, or I look at a tree, or I look at whatever's around me, and I can find beauty right away. It's just totally accessible to me.
Yep.
It's a technique that the medicine taught me. I mean, nobody talked me through that.
Yep.
It's just having experienced the beauty of the earth in such an intense way that's unforgettable, and all I got to do is remind myself, look at the beauty around you. There's nothing to be amped up about. There's nothing to be angry about. There's nothing to stress about. Don't, it's so easy to keep it in check. And I think that's how it's supposed to work, is it just teaches you these lessons and you just got to carry them forward.
Yeah, man. And our ancestors lived like this all the time, right? Now you and me, fighter aircraft, cell phones, computers. I mean, the all the shit that we have, man. We're not like back in Stonehenge living in mud heads. When you were connected with source and earth, you lived off the earth. I got my fucking coffee. There's a TV here. I mean, we're bombarded with all this shit. So it's cool that you can now, after this experience, actually just back out of everything and touch home base again, for lack of a better word. You know it's there. That's a peaceful feeling, because I'm like you, dude. Left lane if you're not doing 110, I'm gonna fucking run you over. Now I'm good, man.
Yep.
I mean, that's the first thing my wife she's like, your driving has really drastically changed. I'm like, I was fucking.
She said that to me too.
Exactly. Hey now.
She was pretty happy about that, Wiz. You did a good thing there.
Oh my God, man.
But think about what could be more unnatural than living on an aircraft carrier.
All of it.
I mean, it is a Spartan is the right word, right? It's an austere environment. I mean, there is no nature there. Everything is gray.
Yeah.
It
mechanical.
Smells a little funny. I mean, there's jet fuel in your shower. You can taste it in the water. You go up on the flight deck and you could be killed at any moment if you're not completely aware of everything that's going on around you. I mean, it's just you're not connected there.
No.
And even in the airplane, there are times, especially you get up at high altitudes and stuff. There's times when you look at the earth and you're like, man, it's beautiful down
it's pretty
there.
cool.
It's cool, but you know what? You got this machine around you.
Yep. Exactly.
And you've got all this gear on and you're breathing out of a mask and radios and weapon systems and what's my mission and all that. And you just don't completely get there. By the way, that's why skydiving is so awesome. Mm-hmm. Right. If riding in an airplane was flying, then riding in a boat would be swimming. Right.
True. You
gotta get out of the airplane, right? So that's another source of beauty that I enjoyed. Earlier in my life, I did a lot of jumping and all that stuff. But the activities like that, where you're really connected to the environment around you, I think are really important.
So
look at the crime wave we've got going on right now, where people are crammed together in these cities.
Yep.
City planners make efforts to have parks and some greenery and stuff like that. But I don't think we're meant to live in that environment.
No, man. No, and
there's a lot of unhappiness that comes from a loss of connection.
This might not go over or make sense, but it makes sense to me. Slider and I are focusing on saving veterans' lives, which will help dependents, which will help everybody. Healing's possible, right? I got to tell you, man, the population in this country, on this planet, that needs this medicine the most are criminals. You want to lower the rate of recidivism, and they need to be doing ibogaine and 5-MeO ceremonies in fucking prison, man. You want to talk about getting somebody's mind right? And the fact that Slider and I would probably push each other out of the way to go work on death row to kill people. Those are old us. New us actually would want to help, man. You want to bring recidivism down? It's get these healing medicines to people like criminals or people that are just so disconnected from their source and truth. It would fix them. You're looking at two fucking meat eaters right here, knuckle draggers, and it hit us in the head with a 2x4. So that we got our mission. We got to save veterans' lives, but man, on some level, we got to get this stuff, this healing stuff, to the people who actually need healing the most, man. You know?
Yeah, we should get some to Vlad.
Yeah.
I imagine if world leaders were required to have this experience before they took a position of power.
On my gray day,
how different would we be?
My first gray day after ibogaine, I remember writing in my journal, I'm like, did the Pope do this? Did like Joel Osteen do this? If leaders did this, we wouldn't. Yeah, you're right. We would not have war in Europe right now. If we could kidnap Vlad for a weekend and give him the medicine, this would not be happening. So that's pretty powerful when you got two meat eaters like Slider and I, warriors, talking about like healing and not having war. You got to know that this shit is pretty tight, man. But we're gonna do a Slider integration. We're gonna do a full hour of after these medicines, and the integration, just like the medicine journeys were completely different, the integration was as well both times. So, why don't you set that up a little bit and then we'll close it out.
Yeah, sure. So you do have that. You talked about the pink period, or the glow, the afterglow. That is definitely a thing. And, the ibogaine hangs around for a long time. The half-life on noribogaine, which is the primary metabolite, is very, very long. And so for the first couple of months, you have this, let's call it a window of opportunity.
Yes.
Where you've, and we should talk about the neuroscience at some point, but you've disrupted your usual pathways.
Yep.
And that gives you an opportunity to retrain yourself in your habits, not just your daily habits of life, where you need to do mindful things like, eating better and meditating, and yoga's been a thing for me.
There you go.
It's hard for me to embrace the mat.
Welcome to the club, now. Baby.
But it's an opportunity. But the other thing is, it's an opportunity to change your habits in your thought patterns, the way you think, the way you react to things.
Yep.
And you've got to really dedicate yourself to doing that work. And I guess we're going to talk about it a little down the road, but that's where you said 95% of it, that's where it is. You need to take those lessons, you need to embrace them, internalize them, make them part of who you are.
Correct.
And become someone different. Change your mind, as Poland would say.
There we go.
Right?
So folks, the integration is really where the rubber meets the road. It's work, right? If you don't put in the work after you do the medicine, it's going to have a shorter half-life. But Slider and I, both times we did the medicine, it's a Control-Alt-Delete, blank piece of paper, and that can be good and it can be bad. If you falter in your integration, it can be challenging. Even doing well in your integration is challenging. But you get a clean piece of paper from God, source, truth, divine, and you get to write with it, man. It is a whole new chapter. So, all right, my brother. Well, stay safe in the hurricane. Thoughts and prayers to the folks on the west coast of Florida, man. Just absolutely leveled. Those are going to be some folks that need some healing as well. So, my brother, thanks for showing up. We're going to do a Slider integration next week, and have a great rest of your week, folks. For the Max Afterburner podcast with Slider, he's like my Ed McMahon. Yes, my Ed McMahon. Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. Fights on, and namaste.